Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of July 2023. I hope you're well. I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss for you today. Just before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there is an extended that you can access at the end. That's the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. It's absolutely chock full of really astounding people. I love the bones of them all. And you can get access to all the extended content for no extra cost, and we're setting up classes and all sorts of things up there as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, please do feel free to avail yourself of that link. So let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Taurus. I have 3 cards for Taurus, please. There we go. Recent past is out, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. That's a nice start. What about current energy for Taurus, please? Oh, goodness. We have the Emperor, and we have the 9 of Pentacles. That's beautiful. Let's flip this around so you can see. I'll give the camera a chance to adjust. Actually see what we're looking at here. Sorry, the sun has been quite bright, I guess, for the last couple of weeks. What's coming towards Taurus, please, for July? Right, we have 2 cards. We've got the 9 of Cups and we've got the King of Cups. Lord Taurus, what is going on here with you? I like it, whatever it is. I have to say we do have the 3 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, but if any of you are familiar with the Tarot of the Abyss, you'll know that there are 2 depictions of both the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Swords in this deck. And, you know, there's the standard one that you would expect to see in a deck that was based on the Waite Smith. But there are 2, you know, an alternate interpretation each that Anatorians put in. And this is the alternate version of the 3 of Swords. And I'll just show it to you there. And what I really, really like about this is this sense of the almost like the feedback loop of wisdom, right? When we get to a point where we're starting to understand why things have not gone quite as well as we expected in the past, we can start gathering information from that. We can start accruing wisdom from that. It's the wisdom of not repeating the same mistakes, and there's a definite sense of you having broken out of some sort of cycle here, Taurus, that what are we going at here? Interesting. I'm going to take the commonplace tarot to clarify. And when we break out of cycles, it can be a very, very powerful. It can be a very powerful experience, actually, because for the most part we sit in cycles because we don't realise that we're repeating the mistakes of the past. Once we start to identify those mistakes and identify the cycles, we can voluntarily choose to leave them. And that expands everything. It expands our experience, it expands our consciousness, it expands our growth. And this is what we've got going on here for you, Taurus. So I'm very, very excited to see all these cards on the table. I'm even excited to see the 3 of Swords. So let's get some clarifiers out. Put some meat on the bones of this. Go about the Wheel of Fortune, please. There we go. So we have the 3 of Cups in reverse. We have the World and we have the Queen of Wands. That's a striking statement. Okay. Tell me about the Emperor and the 9 of Pentacles, please. Thank you. We've got the Devil in reverse. Beautiful. Page of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. Amazing. Tell me about the 9 of Cups and the King of Cups, please. Ooh, I'm losing it. 10 of Pentacles. Wow. King of Cups again. Some double Scorpio energy there. And the Ace of Cups. Lord, we have the 9 of Cups at the bottom of the deck, appearing again for a second time. Right, this is astounding, Taurus. I'm here for this all day long. Absolutely adore it. So, straight from the off, everything that I just said about the breaking the cycle is being borne out by the cards that we have here. And it is not because the universe is suddenly, showing some sort of mercy to you and being like, right, well, Taurus has had enough challenges to deal with. Let's throw some shiny shit their way. Quite the reverse. This is all coming from you. And I think the most powerful realization that you have this month is that it is all coming from you. And the potential that this holds, the potential that you now see that you hold, feels to me not just to be extraordinarily liberating, but increasing your awareness of the potential that exists, full stop. And it's funny, it's putting me in mind of the Eight of Swords, even though the Eight of Swords is not appearing on the table. It's more like a disintegration of the Eight of Swords. Just to explain, the Eight of Swords talks about, mental restriction. It talks about our particular view of reality and how sometimes we can feel like we have no options but to be where we are, right? And it leads us to feel stuck or to feel trapped. But the wisdom of the Eight of Swords is that there's always another way of thinking about things. There's always another way of shifting things around. Once we break out of the paradigm that says we have no options and we become aware that there are options, we break through our own mental restriction because everything is possible all of the time. There's an amazing film that I watched probably about a month ago, actually. It was Michelle Yeoh. It was everything... Or it's something like All Things Everywhere All at Once, or something like that it was called. Absolutely extraordinary film. I loved it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out because it was extraordinary. Anyway, let's concentrate on what's going on down here, because we start off in the recent past with the Wheel of Fortune. Now, there are lots of different ways of interpreting this card. All tarot cards are multivalent, and quite honestly, they mean what they mean in the oracular moment. So in one reading it might mean one thing, but it'll have a very different flavour in another reading, And so we start off with the basics of fortunes are improving. Well, that's great, but that was never quite enough for me when I was looking at this card. And I was like, why? Why are the fortunes improving? Is it because some benevolent spirit has blessed us with something? That doesn't seem to fit. And the answer came for me when I was looking at the Waite-Smith Wheel of Fortune card, and I noticed that the 4 fixed signs that sit in the corners of those cards all have books open. They're studying them. Let's see if I can find it so I can show you. And so from there, it became quite obvious to me that the reason why the fortunes started improving was because there was some sort of studying going on, right? There was some sort of learning moment. You can see it there, right? And so if we're learning something, right, if we're applying ourselves to the syllabus that our souls have set out for this lifetime, and we are actually accruing not only information and knowledge, but working out how to apply it, which then becomes wisdom, it makes sense that we would then be stepping up, right? We're shifting our vibration, if you want to put it that way, and resonating with a much more positive idea of what our reality could hold or create, all those kind of things, right? So there becomes the why this is happening. And there's been a shift for you, Taurus, really quite profound shift that says, and it's so funny, as the card came out, I recalled a reading that I'd done with a Taurus about, probably about a year ago now, actually, where she was explaining about setting up her business and how she dealt with imposter syndrome, and she kept having this kind of like, why me? Why do I think I'm special? Why would I be able to pull this off? And she said, and I literally just flipped it on its head, and I just asked myself the question, why not me? And every time I felt like I was faltering, I just flipped it around. Well, why not me? Why not? And she said, and I couldn't come up with a good reason why it couldn't be me. Not one that stood up to scrutiny anyway. And that's what I felt when I turned that card over. It was like, why not me? Why can't I do this? But we have some sort of added spiciness here with these 3 cards that have come out in the clarifiers, because we've got this Three of Cups in reverse, we've got the World card, and we've got the Queen of Wands. Now, the Three of Cups for me talks about emotional support networks. Very, very important. But speaking to the people that are around you generally, it seems to me that you are seeing something of the people that surround you generally that no longer jives, if I can put it that way, with the way that you see the world, the way that you, or what it is that you want to create. You know, there's this kind of sense that there's been some sort of, oh shit, we talked about this in the last reading, right? This undermining that I was talking about, and how there were people who were close to you that you'd considered to be part of your emotional support network, who for some reason were actually just washing away the riverbank underneath your feet. And it was the recognition of this that was kind of leading you to a place of realizing that there were boundaries that needed to be set, not just with the people who were very obviously against you, but also those who appeared to be, at least in some way, with you. It's getting very, very discerning about the quality of people that you choose to spend time with and what you permit to occur when you are in the company of said people. Now, the fact that the Three of Cups is showing up in the reverse feels to me like you have applied that feeling, that understanding, that recognition, and you've now seen that the emotional support as you thought it existed actually does not. And, you know, just like we've seen many times happen with you in the last couple of years, there's that willingness to kind of pull yourself away from the herd just a little bit. And what I like about this is that there aren't those feelings that you've struggled with in the past, those feelings of guilt, those feelings of disloyalty almost. It's a recognition that we're all on our own path. And sometimes these paths collide, you know, and for better or worse, they collide. Sometimes they run parallel with each other. But ultimately, there comes a point often where they drift apart. And there's no, I don't feel any kind of sense of deep resentment or bitterness about that. It's just well, our paths aren't really aligned anymore, and so we're kind of pulling off in different directions, and that is okay. You know, we see the World card here indicating, as it does, the end of a cycle, the end of a considerable cycle, actually, that has you moving more into a state of personal confidence. Because one of the things that is an issue when you have people who are consistently undermining you, and they're doing it in a very quiet way, and they're possibly not even meaning to be mean or anything like that, is that it chips away at your confidence slowly but consistently over the course of time. And, you know, even, you know, anything that is built on really solid foundations, if it's got that thing that's coming along and washing away the mud underneath it, at some point that's going to fall. And often that happens, you know, in big raging arguments and things like that, but it doesn't feel like it's that kind of situation for you. It feels like it's right, I have to set boundaries. I have to consider where my energy is going. I have to consider what I am taking into myself, and possibly the extent to which you put yourself into situations where that kind of behaviour is something that you accept. You know, the Queen of Wands is, she's pretty good at striking out on her own, but she does talk about confidence. She does talk about self-esteem. And for me, she's probably, I don't know, I think between her and the Queen of Swords, and you have both of these queens, these two are not likely to stick around in a situation that undermines their power. You know? It's active energy, elementally speaking, whereas the other two queens, the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles, are much more passive. They get up and they move, they go. Which is not to shit on the other two queens at all, but it's a very different kind of energy. And there's something much more, there's something much more active about them, put it that way. So I'm loving this, because it isn't just about the situations that you're in now. You know, it might be one friend or a group of friends or a particular, I don't know, hobbyist group or something that you hang out with, right? But it's about the awareness, and it's also about the sensitivity that you hold, that allows you to kind of draw whatever that behavior means into yourself and accept it as normal, correct, whatever, right? Now you see it, can't stay like that anymore. And the corresponding almost unexpected bump that it gives to your confidence, where you can stand in your authenticity and stand in a place that honors you and says, actually, now I'm going to head off this way because this is much more in alignment with where I am. So we move into your current energy. We have the Emperor and the Nine of Pentacles. And I like this very much because it's acting as a bridge between here and here for a start. I see that very, very strongly. But it's kind of taking it in a slightly different direction, you know, because the Emperor is about, he's about planning and strategy and all that kind of thing, but ultimately he's about taking control. I often say, like, for me, the key phrase for this card is getting your shit together. And getting your shit together in all senses. Now, we have here the Nine of Pentacles with that. And for me, the nines are all about the management of whatever suit they represent. So Nine of Cups would be about the way that you manage your emotions. The Nine of Pentacles is about how you manage your energetic resources. Now, I'm absolutely including money in that, so it could be that you're giving your finances a bit of a do-over. That's possible. But it's more like being aware of where it is that your energy goes, not just, you know, generally on the macro level, but actually on the micro level. You know, what do you invest in that actually doesn't have much in the way of return? Be that friendships or groups or whatever. I mean, for some of you, it might even be work, actually. And there's this underlying idea that you're shifting focus. Almost like, you know, bringing out your bucket or your basket and going, actually, well, some of my energy was going over there and I'm going to pull that back. Some of it's been going over there and I'm going to come back. Yeah, bring it back to me. And then you're kind of looking at it, you're kind of like, well, shit, I actually have a lot more resources than I thought I did when I gather them all up in one place. And so how am I going to be deploying these pentacles from this point on? Like, what am I going to invest in? What do I want for the rest of my existence? Not just in a, you know, what job do I want? What house do I want? You know, all that kind of thing. Like, what is the caliber of people that I want around me? You know, what are the experiences that I want to have that will enable me to grow? You know, the fact that the Devil came out here, I do feel, has a lot of you Tauruses going, what am I afraid of? And how can I push through this? And when the Devil shows up, we have all of those, you know, kind of icky feelings of toxicity and codependence and all those sorts of things, right? But again, it's feeling trapped, it's feeling stuck by something, and that can even be things like substance abuse and stuff like that, right? And kind of numbing thing that divorces you from reality and also stops you from being able to actually employ your free will, truly employ your free will. And I think it's a necessity that the Devil appear and then the Devil reverse before we get to the point where the Lovers card, which is the one that talks about free will and conscious co-creation and alignment and all of those things, actually gets an opportunity to be exercised. So we've got here situations that did feel like they just were what they were, which now you're recognizing you've been handing your energy to, and you're like, actually, Devil, fucking give that back, please. I'm not prepared to do that anymore. Okay? Losing the fear that has been underpinning on a really deep subconscious level the nature of the decisions that you've been making. And here with this Queen of Pentacles and this Queen of Swords, you know, the idea that actually these can go off in a different direction. You know, the pages have an initiatory energy. But whereas the aces are, like profound breakthroughs, literally finding the source of the river, if you will. Like, here is where everything gets generated. Pure potential from this point on. The pages take something that you already have and they take it off in a different direction, or they allow you to be shaped by it in a different way than you have done before. So we've got this willingness to pull back all of your energy from where it's been, get a lot more fucking discerning about where it is dispensed in the first instance, certainly not handing over any of it to situations that have come about purely because on a deep subconscious level you've been concerned about allowing it to end. So it's like, well, I can't, the devil is absolutely the epitome of the energy of I can't. And it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Feed me some more of your pentacles, please. That's what the devil says here. Devil has no power of his own. It's all what we create in here, and it's the pentacles that we hand off. So this change of focus that we've got coming in here for you. I mean, maybe you've been looking at the state of the world, and maybe you've been doom scrolling a lot. Okay, and you've realised that actually that is as dangerous as pretending that there is nothing wrong with the state of the world at the moment. They represent the extremes. The centre place is, here is my life, I am going to live it, and I'm not going to fall prey to the doom scrolling, and I'm not going to be ignorant either. I'm just going to be focused on my life and what I want to achieve, focused on my investments, whatever they are. Some of you might be thinking about opening a business, possibly. But for most of you, I do feel like it's just a way of overhauling your life altogether. Being like, no, I'm only going to have the good things here in my life. And I know that things are going wrong over there. And I know that things are going wrong over there. But if I hand my energy over to it, then I am depleting mine. By extension, it's just is what happens, right? So this Queen of Swords is helping you take a very objective approach to what it is that you want for the future. And you really do feel like you're shuffling things around here. And if the devil for you has been a fear of putting yourself out there, I feel like the Queen of Wands appearing as she is here is having that kind of... It's just boiling away, actually. It's just going, it's headed off. Because there's an increasing confidence and there's an increasing self-esteem that what you are doing for you is right. And I agree, Taurus, 100%. There's a lot of clarifying your energy here, I think. And allowing yourself to settle into your sensitivities and being like, right, well, I'm not oversensitive. I'm sensitive about this for a reason. And if I talk to this person and it makes me feel shit afterwards, whether I feel sad or whether I just feel tired, then there's some sort of somatic flag that's being waved there. It's like my body's having some sort of reaction to it, and I must pay attention. This is very empowering for you, Taurus. I like it. So, when we move into July, fuck me, look at this. We have the Nine of Cups, the King of Cups. Then we have the Ten of Pentacles, the King of Cups, and the Ace of Cups, with the Three of Swords and the Nine of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Now, I don't think that you're in a particularly reflective frame of mind, and that's not criticism. I feel like you've been doing a lot of that over the last few months. It feels to me much more like you're focusing on the future. The Emperor represents the sign of Aries. As the Fool does too. And it's interesting to note that this month, I think it's this month, it's certainly around now, if not this month. This fly is doing my nutting. We're seeing the lunar nodes shift out of Taurus and Scorpio and into Aries and Libra. And I think for all four of those signs, this is going to feel significant. But for everyone, the shift into Aries as a north node is having all of us have that energy of initiation, have that energy of taking control of our existence, right? The phrase that we associate with Aries is I am, right? It's like, whew, Me, I'm here, this is what I'm doing. And, you know, the South Node balancing off against it is how we assert ourselves and know ourselves and do whatever we want to do, and how we balance that off against other people, our relationships. You know, it feels to me like it's all about getting very much stronger in self rather than defining ourselves by other people or allowing other people to undermine what we've been working on for the last 18 months. So we have the double nine here, a double nine of cups, which is talking about the way that you manage your emotions. And it seems to me that you have gone through a really quite triumphant what's the word that I'm looking for? Mastery, maybe? It's not really the word that I'm looking for, but it'll do. There's been so much work that has been put into your emotions, you know, sifting through them, understanding them, always asking why you feel this way, and seeing where that takes you. Very internal thing. And seeing where, in the past, you've quite likely voluntarily put yourself into situations that did not feel good. Now, you didn't recognise at the time that that's what you were doing, and you probably didn't recognise at the time that some of the reactions that you were having were because of this, but you do see it now. And, you know, the King of Cups, it's Scorpio energy, but it very much talks about ownership of your emotions. I often talk about it in terms of the maturation of your emotional space. Now, you know, the true depiction of that would be the Queen and the King together, because they're, you know, the external objective and the internal passive experience of all of that energy in one. But this feels very outward facing, actually. So where all of the work has been happening internally for a considerable amount of time now, I feel like it's almost like you breaking free, and who you are inside is really getting an opportunity to show itself externally now. You know, we've got that 10 of Pentacles there, which always delights me for any sign when it comes up. But it's got a particular resonance for Taurus, I think. And it is because of your willingness to put in the work. You know, we all start off with the opportunity of the Ace of Pentacles, but not everybody has the stamina to see it through to completion. And being a card that is number 10, obviously it's representing to completion, but it's the culmination. Now, it can represent a literal house. It's got that happy family vibe going on here, but it's whatever you have been working towards to achieve. So it can also talk about business. It can also talk about, you know, your employment. It talks about getting to that place where you feel like you have it all. It's a goal. It's always a goal. But it feels to me like this month you are far, far closer to being in touch with the experience of that than you have been up until this point, right? Because you've been doing all of the work, you've been investing hard. It could be for some of you that actually what has been the goal is shifting and morphing. Now that you have all of the information that you've been looking for, it's kind of like, well, it's shining a different light on my core values and what I want for the rest of my life, like the way that I intend to live. Maybe I've been very driven by money, and actually I've realised that I've got a decent amount of money, but what I don't have is decent, you know, set of people around me, and that is now proving to be more important to me than it was before. I mean, the 10 of Pentacles also talks about security and stability. And this has been an important point for you, Taurus, because remember when, you know, we started talking back in 2020, when this work really started kicking in at the expedited level that it has done for you, about the importance of recognizing that security and stability comes from in here. It doesn't come from the absolute control of your environment, which is what I think it's a hole that a lot of Tauruses fell into. It's like, I want to feel stable, I want to feel secure, and so I need to have my little corner of the universe fenced off. Right? I know what I like and I like what I know, and I want to stay here. I don't want to move, ever. Because if I move, then things become unstable, and then I am threatened by that, right? Emotionally, that feels very difficult to me. But here, it feels like there's an understanding that it doesn't matter what is happening outside of you, because this security and stability is so firmly built within you, that there's come with it actually a surprising amount of flexibility and a surprising amount of willingness to start pushing the boundaries of things. Like I said, there's a refocusing that's gone on here, and absolutely in terms of what it is that you want to achieve, but more importantly, what it is that you believe you are capable of achieving, which compared to where you were 3 years ago is off the fucking chart. And I love this for you, Taurus. I really, really do. Because we've got that King of Cups and the Ace of Cups again. You know, a lot of Tauruses have struggled with relationships past 3, 4, 5 years, something like that, right? Being in relationships that they put their all into and they didn't get anywhere near the same level of care back, the same level of investment back from other people. And that can put you in a place where you feel like, well, you can end up feeling like a victim and being like, but I'm trying so fucking hard. Why is nobody fucking reciprocating? I think the really important lesson, just as we had with the internal stability and the internal security, is that the relationship that you hold with yourself is the bar that you set for the rest of the fucking planet. Right? Anybody who comes into contact with you needs to reach that standard to stay around. And if they don't, you're quite prepared to walk away. And this is new for you, Taurus. It's that very... self-sufficiency. It's that internal self-sufficiency where you don't need anyone, but the people that you allow in are those that bring such value to your life. And you bring, conversely, you also bring value to their life without that over-investment that seemed to characterize a lot of your relationships in the past. I mean, to be fair, for a lot of you, it was codependency. I see with the devil reversed there. It was that need for everyone to think that you were great. And some Tauruses have struggled with people pleasing. Some Tauruses have felt it really, really difficult to advocate for themselves because the harmony and the well-being of the collective, as you have had been conditioned to understand it, was that you shouldn't have a fucking opinion about something. Right? You're just there to fix problems. Everybody else does the shiny stuff. You've got to be the one who's working really hard underneath, right? You've got to be the most thoughtful friend. You have to give the most thoughtful gifts. You're the one who turns up with the cakes on somebody's birthday at work, that kind of thing. And whilst these are all really admirable traits, like the reason why you were doing it wasn't really a true expression of who you were. What it was is, everybody please like me. Everybody please know that I am the most thoughtful, right? Everybody please value me, because I don't value myself. And I need you to do that. That's gone. That doesn't exist anymore. And what's coming through is something so incredibly powerful, Taurus. The love and the care and the attention and investment that comes from you to other people is well managed, because now it's yourself first and whatever is left over. But because it's coming from a really healthy place, there's something so much more authentic and full of integrity than there was before. And this means the way that you're showing up in the world is actually more valuable than ever it was at a point before this. When you show up, people know that you really want to. When you offer something, people know that you really want to with every cell of your being. But you've got good boundaries that are stopping you from over-investing. It's not costing you more than you're getting back. And you're setting an example. And I feel like this has come up for you for months, Taurus. This idea of you becoming a teacher, becoming a leader. And I know a few Tauruses kind of went, oh, fuck, no, I'm not really happy about that. But there are many ways to lead. And there are many ways to be a teacher, and not all of them involve you getting up on your soapbox and, spewing forth some sort of big impassioned speech. It doesn't mean standing up in front of a classroom and saying, actually, this is how you all need to behave. Sometimes it's by setting the example. And whether you realise it or not, Taurus, you have been setting such a glorious example for everyone around you that you cannot help but affect people in the most profound ways. Now, some people have drifted away, and that's fine. That's cool. They're not part of the journey moving forwards. The fact that you can release them without guilt, without disloyalty, without a sense of shame in some way, is a testament to how much you have grown and how much you continue to grow, because it felt like 2020 was pivotal for everyone, right? And I was banging on about this at the end of 2019 and into 2020, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but it feels to me like 2020 is going to be one of those years where people recognize that, like, there was them pre-2020 and then there was them post-2020. And, you know, by March, we all understood that something big was going on and we're all going to change. 2023 feels like it has a similar sort of flavour. It's not quite as brutal, but we've had the benefit of 3 years of work in between these two. So it's not like the world is locking down and, you know, suddenly we're all sat at home with our demons, you know, putting on weight like some of us did, you know, stopping moving around, not seeing people, stuck with only the contents of our own head. This is different. This is almost kind of, it feels very Aries, actually. It's just kind of like, no, I am here. It's like you've discovered who you actually are, Taurus. And now, all of the restrictions that you put in place, and you did, as a response to conditioning of youth, of society, of your family, of whoever, have been falling away one by one. And now you're showing up pure. That's got a very pre and post 2023 kind of feel to me. Like, this is the beginning of everything. Now, obviously, this month is the beginning of a new cycle that's going to be 18 months. But, as I was saying to Leo, actually, it's quite interesting. You know, the sort of changes that are going on here, we can track back to, I don't know, the period of like 2004 to 2006, when the nodes were last in Aries and Libra. Like, what was going on then? There aren't as many harsh aspects in this Aries Libra axis as there were last time, but it might be worth like kind of thinking back, like, where were you and what were you doing during that time frame? Because there's a sense here of everybody getting a fresh start, everybody being able to start again and live much more fully than they did before. We're all kind of getting a blank slate, but it's not really a blank slate, because we've got at least 18 years of wisdom that is now sitting in here with this card. We understand the mistakes that we made in the past, and we understand that we're not going to do them again. We might make new, fresh mistakes, but we're so much bigger and so much stronger that these aren't kicking the shit out of us in the same way that they did before. Internal stability, internal security. I think this is just fucking magic. And this month is seeing you really center what you want, what makes you happy, the way that you value yourself, but also in some way having what is, you know, where your cup is overflowing, that overflow going into some very specific situations where you can truly make a difference. Now, what those are going to be different for each of you, but it does feel like it's very much revolving around this idea of what your core principles are. Now, what you stand for, what you believe, the example that you're setting for other people. And it feels like it's a month full of magic because of that reason for you. Now, I'm going to go over to Vimeo right now, and we're going to do the extended. We're going to be focusing specifically on July and working out what it is that you need to know about that. But I don't think there's going to be one specific situation where you're going to see this playing out. I feel like there's this motion in almost every area of your life, and it's not jarring, right? We're not talking about tower kind of energy. We're just talking about this rolling motion of everything is just beginning to move along. And whatever your goals are, I feel like we're not talking about moving inches, you know, every month towards the thing now. It's almost like the doors are opening up, the paths are clearing in front of you, and there's that sense of knowing exactly where you are going, or at least the direction that you're going, and what it is that you're hoping to hit along the way. So I'm going to go over to Vimeo. We're going to go into the extended. If you'd like to join me over there, you can come over to Vimeo. It's the first link, or you can come over to Circle. That's the second. But if neither of those apply, and you don't want to come over and see that, like, that's fine. The TLDR is that you're moving, you're rolling, and everything needs to come from a place of authenticity. Everything needs to come from a place of what feels right, because I think you are now in a position to be able to judge that with more discernment than you ever have been before, and you're listening to that inner voice that's saying, go this way, do that, you know, maybe it's even having somatic reactions to particular things. Pay a lot of attention to that. I don't know why that keeps coming up as an important thing. Physical reactions that you have. It's like, I get it on goosebumps. I have a particular kind of goosebumps that I only get when I'm doing this kind of thing, and they start at my ankles and they roll up my entire body and over my scalp, and it makes me kind of shudder. But it's almost like something pressing on me and going, yes, that's the thing. So when that shows up for me, I pay attention. If you have some sort of similar thing, or even if you don't, you know, paying attention to how the body feels and what's going on with it will take you far this month, I think. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. Wobbling my table. Know that I love you all very, very much. I'm so proud of you, Taurus. Look how far you've come in 3 years. Like, you're virtually unrecognisable. Honestly, it's just the best. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you soon.